Hello, I'm Lauren Huberman.
And I'm Christina McLean. Welcome to All Access. Today we talk about youth employment, one of Mayor Johnson's priorities of his administration. We're lucky to have with us Deputy Mayor Jen Johnson and Tamika Jones, who is the Program Manager of Youth and Education Services.
Jen Johnson is the City of Chicago's Deputy Mayor of Education, Youth, and Human Services. Johnson brings to the role of Deputy Mayor nearly 2 decades of experience as an educator, manager, and organizer, including 10 years as a history teacher at Lincoln Park High School. Johnson most recently served as Chief of Staff for the Chicago Teachers Union, where she supported the alignment of staff, program, and budget to the union's nearly 30,000 members and elected leadership. Johnson holds a bachelor's degree in education from Northwestern University and a master's degree of community and teacher leaders from Northeastern Illinois University. Tamika Jones joined the mayor's office in October 2022 as a program manager on the Youth Education and Human Services team. Her work focuses on citywide youth employment and enrichment initiatives. Prior to joining the mayor's office, Tamika dedicated 8 years to the Chicago Park District, where her focus centered on developing and implementing programs for individuals with disabilities. Hailing from Michigan, Tamika holds a Bachelor of Science degree from the University of Michigan and a Master of Education degree from the University of Virginia. We are lucky to have with us Deputy Mayor Jen Johnson and Program Manager of Youth from the Mayor's Office, Tamika Jones.
Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome.
Morning.
Welcome. All right, I'd love to get started and ask you some questions. I think the first thing we'd really like to learn is a little bit about your roles here at the city.
Yeah, no problem. So I am the Deputy Mayor of Education, Youth, and Human Services, which is a broad portfolio. We work with 8 departments or agencies, so that goes from Chicago Public Schools to the city colleges, our Chicago Public Libraries, the Park District, the Department of Public Health, the Department of Family Support Services, the Chicago Cook Workforce Partnership, and last but not least, the Mayor's Office for People with Disabilities.
Wow. Tamika, we would love to hear about your role at the mayor's office.
Great, thank you. So I'm a program manager on Jen's team, the Education, Youth, and Human Services team. I focus on youth employment and youth enrichment programs.
And we know that youth employment is one of the mayor's priorities. We'd love to hear a little bit more about, the administration's goal to expand employment opportunities for youth and why it's so important to the mayor.
Yeah, well, we're really blessed to have a mayor who also was an educator, and he's also a parent, and he sends his kids to Chicago Public Schools, and so he's really connected to the needs of young people. But the mayor also sees young people as the folks who really need to receive investment in order for our city to become stronger, safer, and better right now. If we invest in young people right now, they become strong leaders, they make strong choices, they avoid the pitfalls and barriers and challenges that can come up in life in a big city like Chicago. And so very early on, literally the first week of his administration, he set a really big goal. I'll let Tamika talk about that big goal that, we're trying really desperately to meet, and we're going to need everybody's help to do it. We're excited to do it, but it's very ambitious.
Yeah, definitely ambitious. So the goal was based on the summer employment opportunity number from 2023, which was 20,000. And so we were able to increase that to around 25,000 last summer. Either way, the goal is to double that, so have 40,000 opportunities for young people. We're still trying to do a little bit more digging of what year-round opportunities look like, but we want to expand year-round opportunities as well. But overall, 40,000 opportunities by the end of the first term. So really looking into all the different ways that we can do that, whether it's across the departments, sister agencies, businesses, whatever we can do. We know it's going to, like Jen mentioned, it's going to take everybody to get to that number.
Yeah. And when you talk about young people, what does that mean? How is that defined?
Yeah, so we are defining it as 14 to 24-year-olds. So we know that the different opportunities for 14 to 15-year-olds will be a little bit different. And so we are thinking about youth employment as a continuum. So providing young people with an opportunity for career exploration and awareness to get more knowledge of what's out there, what they might be interested in, career preparation and development. So maybe their first job, maybe it's learning how to write a resume, all of those different pieces. So really wanting to provide young people with not just a summer job or not just a job or internship, but taking them throughout the whole kind of continuum of opportunities.
Great. Well, 40,000 opportunities is a large number. That is a big goal. How do you talk to potential employers about providing those opportunities and working with youth?
Yeah, we're really lucky. We work with the Department of Family Support Services, who has some relationships with corporate partners. We're also tag teaming with the Business Neighborhood Development team, who supports World Business Chicago. And so Tamika participates in a regular collaboration with all of those teams in order to think about, the employers that are already exemplars. We have employers who hire young people and who know what it takes, which is some additional wraparound supports and services to ensure that young people have the barriers that make coming to a job or doing well in a job difficult: transportation issues, mentorship. So we have examples of businesses and corporations who do that well. And what we're trying to do is put those folks in the same room with folks who maybe are new to hiring young people. And so we've had multiple events since this winter, including a big launch where we had probably 75 or 100 different representatives from corporations around the city, some of whom are early adopters and some of whom wanted to learn more. And they came away, I think, just really feeling optimistic and excited, particularly because we really try to center the voices of young people. Tamika and her team will always say we've got to have young people at the event. If it's an event about young people have to be participants. And so when corporations actually hear young people speak honestly about their needs, they can kind of see themselves in providing those solutions, and they become less intimidated. Because, if you've been a teacher like some of us at this table have, or you've worked in the park district like some of us have, young people, their brains are still forming, they're hormonal, they're going through a lot, even when you get into your 20s, right? And so it takes a little extra effort, but we've seen a lot of these early adopter corporations then have young people stay with that company and really start an entire career that started with maybe an internship or a summer job. And so the payoff and the benefits are really, really great. So we try to present, an honest picture to the employers of what it takes, but also just the positives that are going to be great for their company, not just the young person.
I would also say that, like Jen was mentioning, there are companies that are already doing this work. I feel like from all the interactions we've had, people are very interested, whether they're already doing it and looking to expand or it's something they've thought about. So really trying to leverage the companies that are already doing this work to kind of build out the resources that are needed, but also listening to companies and other employers. What do they need to hire young people? Is it help with funding? Is it space? Is it a curriculum? Whatever it is, because we want to make sure it's a positive experience for the young people. But like Jen said too, really getting the businesses to understand it's a positive experience for them as well. And so sometimes I think that they just, we're not familiar with young people, so they don't have the resources or the tools to kind of interact. So trying to provide those so that they can have some kind of youth program.
And what are some of the biggest benefits these companies are saying that they're getting from having youth at their organization?
Yeah, I think they get homegrown talent who's already committed and dedicated to living in the city. They get new ideas. Our young people that we're seeking to serve also, we really want to reach the young people who may not have always been afforded opportunities. And so, that includes young people from diverse backgrounds. So they bring a diversity of ideas and experiences that a company may not have thought about including before, or just bringing a different lens to that business.
There are negative perceptions of youth and young adults in Chicago, which I'm sure is not a surprise to anyone at the table or listening. What do you say to people who think that youth are to blame for violence and other kinds of disruption in the city?
The mayor likes to say adults forgot that they were once young, and I think everyone needs to kind of put themselves back in their own shoes when they were 14. And did you have it all figured out? Did you have everything you needed? Particularly in a big city like Chicago, where we live in a hyper-segregated city with great inequality, and some of our young people do not grow up with all of the opportunities that others have. And so do we blame the young people for making poor decisions when the opportunities that are in front of them are inadequate? And so I think it's really incumbent upon adults, particularly folks who, are successful and have lots of access to resources or power, to really flip that script and say, it's my duty to put in front of young people every opportunity to remove those barriers, because it's not their fault that they are growing up in difficult circumstances. And honestly, we have to take that a step further and support the adults who, most people when they struggle, it's not because they want to. It's because circumstances have hit them hard. It's because generational poverty. It's because of, myriad challenges that they didn't sign up for. We've got to remember what it was like, because even if we were privileged as a young person, we didn't have it all figured out. And we've got to work to remove those barriers and see young people as deserving, whether they make every perfect choice or not. They deserve a second chance, and maybe a third one. And I think if we can all be honest with our own mistakes, we can hopefully empathize and support young people to have the greatest amount of success.
We talked earlier on about how this could be some of these young people's first jobs this summer. Do you guys remember your first jobs?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we've talked about this a lot.
Yeah, we've talked about this a lot. I think we've had this as a warm-up question in multiple meetings. I've said that my first job experience was an internship I had at the University of Michigan's nursing school. Wow. I think I was maybe 8th grade or early high school, something along those lines. I can't remember. But it just was a really great opportunity for me, the exposure piece of it. I grew up in Ann Arbor, so being on campus is not a new thing, but it was nice to, really experience that medical atmosphere. I wanted to be a physical therapist at the time, and so having that exposure, doing research, you had to present and work on a team, all of those were things that I still use today. So it was a really great opportunity. Did I think that it was a great opportunity? I don't know. But, but yeah, thinking back on it, that was definitely a positive.
Yeah. So it's such a great story.
Yeah.
All of our 8th graders should have access to that kind of opportunity. So mine was different. She knows this. Tamika knows this. Mine was at the Gap.
Ooh.
Yep. My friends and I needed a summer job, and we marched ourselves to the mall because there were still malls, and got ourselves a minimum wage retail job. Yay.
Totally.
What was your first job, Lauren?
Well, my first job was at a dry cleaners.
Oh, yes, we talked about this.
Yes, I was probably not a great employee, but I was fine. And
got the job done.
Yeah, and it was fun because I worked with my friends and it was after school. So it was enjoyable. I also grew up in Ann Arbor, Tamika.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
Oh, small world.
Yeah.
Christina, what was your first job?
I was a waitress at a local pizza place, and also worked with a lot of my friends.
Okay. Deputy Mayor Johnson, you were an educator with Chicago Public Schools. How have you seen employment opportunities for youth make a positive impact?
Yeah, I think that I worked with such a diverse group of young people at Lincoln Park. Shout out. We both worked at Lincoln Park together. And the young people who had jobs, really, you just saw the maturity. Those who had after-school jobs, they had to be really focused during school because they knew there was something coming later. They had to be on time. They had to really learn those skills that you can take for granted as a teenager. Time management, focus on, getting things done on a timely manner, professionalism, how you dress. And some of the young people juggled other sports and activities too. So it's pretty impressive. I only had a summer job when I was in high school. I didn't have a job during the school year. But there were many young people who had jobs during the school year. And I think the real takeaway is just the maturity that they had to develop at that age.
Yeah. And all the while, a lot of the students commuted. They were helping their families if they did have jobs. And a lot of the classes were intense.
That's right.
It was a lot of responsibility. And Tamika, you worked in special recreation for the Park District, which is super cool. Why do you feel employment opportunities are so important for youth with disabilities?
I think the benefits are the same as for their peers without disabilities. Not to say that it's more meaningful, but almost more meaningful. Individuals with disabilities, specifically youth, always have a hard time, or typically have a hard time connecting with different opportunities throughout different life stages. And so I feel like employment is definitely one of those things. And so, yeah, there's a lot of benefits, self-esteem, gaining skills, learning about what they're interested in, just a lot of positive things beyond earning a paycheck. And so, the more opportunities we can provide, the better. But I think the overall positives are the same for any young person.
Absolutely. I say a lot that I love my job now, but my first job was one of the most important ones I had because it proved that I could do this. I learned that I had to do some things a little differently than people in the same position, but I learned how to advocate for myself. So it's huge. Yeah, absolutely. In April, we had the pleasure of hosting you all at our Central West Community Center. And it was a great event that we had there in partnership with the Mayor's Office and the Department of Family and Support Services, really centered around supporting youth with disabilities to find or apply for One Summer Chicago. Just wanted to get any reactions or what you thought about that event. We're going to hear from some youth a little later about what they're excited about in regards to summer employment, but just wanted to see why it was so important.
Well, first, I just want to give huge credit to Tamika and her leadership and to Commissioner Arfa's leadership at the Mayor's Office for People with Disabilities for knowing that this should happen and saying we need to provide access and support to young people who might not necessarily apply or they might hesitate to apply because they think there are barriers to them being placed. And so I just want to say that it was the first time this event has happened, the Inclusive Summer Jobs Fair, but I think it's going to become a regular occurrence as a result of the success, right? Over 130 young people applied to One Summer through that one event. And young people we saw at the event, right, were excited, nervous. Some of them were with their parents. There was also resource tables so they could connect with other partners. And so I think that the attendance and the energy that was felt in the room, you know, made the young people feel welcome, made them feel like this One Summer program is for them. And then I think the partners learned something, right, that with a little bit of help, right, the young people will be able to get through the process. And hopefully the families felt like their child is being seen, because sometimes people with disabilities are invisibilized in a way that is really demeaning. And we have to make space and be proud of making space for young people with disabilities and, of course, adults with disabilities as well. So kudos to Tamika in particular. I know she hates the attention, y'all.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. I really liked that, you know, we worked really closely with Christina to have different resources there. I thought it was really important to layer that event with other things that could help them with employment, whether it was transportation. We had City Key there so they could have an ID. So all of those things I thought were really important. I was very happy that we were able to put that together. And I think the number definitely shocked us and it was great. You know, it was beyond what we expected. And so that just shows that things like this are needed. And so wanting to expand maybe what that looks like for summer or year round and how we can connect more folks to the Career Center.
Tamika mentioned just getting people to your Career Center early. You guys are doing pioneering work in the Career Center to help people with disabilities, mostly adults, connect on a day-to-day basis with employers. And so now you've got families that are aware that you guys exist in the future and that they're going to tell people about it as well. I think that's the other piece, that you're creating a greater network than you already had.
Yeah, we have a lot of school groups who are interested in coming to visit. So we do that fairly regularly.
Nice.
And that's always a neat thing, if nothing else, like you said, for awareness, because they may not be ready yet, but at some point it's something that, you know, a space that they've been to, they feel welcome.
Yeah.
What's a highlight of your job or something that you love most about it?
It's definitely when we are in spaces with young people. Because of the mayor's youth prioritization, both in terms of youth employment, enrichment, leadership, school transformation, and investment. You know, we get to visit schools all over the city, programs all over the city. You talked about earlier the stigma of young people being, you know, negative contributors to our city's challenges. And that's just not what you see. When you really go around the city and spend time with young people, you know, they have their anxieties and they have their feelings, right? They're very strong teenage feelings. But for the most part, they're just looking for guidance, opportunity. They have ideas. They are innovative. They're leaders in their own right. And if you just listen to them, they will give you all of the guidance that you need for how you can help them be successful. And they want to be successful, and they're ready to be successful if we put the opportunities in front of them. So it is absolutely the best part of my job to be able to see the young people and see the adults who are supporting the young people in amazing, amazing ways all over the city.
Kind of similar to what Jen was saying, I've never been in a space where we were asking for youth voice and kind of listening to that. And I feel like I'm going to do a shameless plug for the Mayor's Youth Commission. It is a group of 40 young people, and we have different opportunities where they're interacting with city leaders, whether it's a consultancy, so a department's coming in asking for their feedback on a program initiative specific to young people. And I feel like every time that we have one of those, I'm just like blown away with the feedback that they have or the insight that they have that I don't feel like when I was 14, 15, 16, had that same insight. And if I did, I wasn't sharing it with adults by any means. And so I think that that's really a positive experience for me. It was something that I initially volunteered to help out with, the Mayor's Youth Commission.
So we like to ask our guests what they would tell someone who was interested in going into city government or public service. Do you have any words of wisdom?
Man, I think that it's such a privilege to try to serve your fellow Chicagoans. I would say that critical thinking and problem solving is definitely a critical part of working for the city. So I would encourage folks to tackle challenges and, don't be afraid of a new challenge that you haven't faced before. That's really a lot of what we do is think through new ideas and new programs and challenges and try to work with other people. I'd say, the mayor's really good about challenging us to collaborate in new and different ways. And so I think being able to work with people and find ways that you can collaborate to come to shared goals is a really important thing. So I feel like the mayor's made jokes about group projects before. So, don't shy away from the group projects.
Well, we really appreciate the conversation today. We know you're both very busy, so thank you for making time. And I know that we've all learned a lot.
Well, thank you for having us and for spotlighting youth employment. We want to charge everyone listening to think about how they can contribute to supporting young people, get jobs, get career exploration opportunities, and get connected to mentors and companies that are interested. We've got city internships. We've got aldermen who have summer interns. We've got fellows at the mayor's office and high school interns at the mayor's office. So we're really trying to make sure the city is doing its part, but we need everyone's support to see young people as an asset now and to get a paycheck in their hand.
Fabulous. Well, thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Like we mentioned, we had the opportunity to connect with some youth who attended our Inclusive Summer Job Expo this spring. Let's hear what they have to say about their plans for this summer.
I'm Jemese.
I'm Malcolm. And I'm Nathan.
I chose that I want a summer job is because I feel like it'll be more beneficial for me in my future to get some type of working experience as a younger age, and also so I can have my own money and income by myself without relying on my parents.
For me, the reason I wanted a summer job was because, mainly I wanted to, be able to buy my own stuff without having to rely on my parents. And like Jimmy said, to expand my resume, when I need an actual job.
Yeah, leaning on what Jimmy said, to start to see what my future job is going to be like, and so I can get an overview of how the next years of my life is going to be, basically with a job.
What do you want to do with your money from your job?
I'll probably save half of it and use the other half to spend it on stuff I want.
For sure.
I'm saving some of my money for hair appointments or self-care things, but also I just want to have some money in my pocket because I spend a lot of money every day. So it's
like they said, I'll be saving a good chunk of my money. So if I need anything throughout the school year and my mom can't pay for it, or I just need to pay for something on the spot, I have money in my pocket. I won't just have to run to my mom.
What would be your ideal job for this summer? What would you really hope to be doing this summer?
But for me, I personally want to do something where it has to do with taking care of kids to get some type of experience with that. But yeah, babysitting or volunteering in a park district or something. I'm
very much a hands-on person, so I want to get some either gardening or fix stuff up, something I can use my hands with.
For me, I would like Jimmy said, something with kids, because I like working with kids and I like them. They got a nice spirit, basically. Or I would like to do something under culinary because when I do get older, I do want to be a chef.
Hi, my name's Olivia. I'm 21.
So, Olivia, what are you most excited about in regards to summer employment?
Well, what I'm most excited about summer jobs is I've never really had a job that was like specific to summer. I just really like getting outside in the summer. I like doing a lot of activities in the summer. And so I'm hoping to incorporate that into some sort of employment. And I just think that there's a lot of really good opportunities with that. So I would really hope to work with children. I really enjoy being around kids. And I'm interested in some stuff with the Chicago Public Library. So something similar to that, yeah.
Do you have any ideas of what you're going to do with all the money you earn?
Well, I'll probably put it into savings. That's what my parents want me to do. But I should put it into savings. I'm trying to get my own apartment soon. So,
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's very exciting.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us for this month's episode of All Access. Be sure to check us out on social media at MOPD Chicago.
Special thanks to our executive producer, Commissioner Rachel Arfa, the City of Chicago's production team, our sign language interpreters who helped to make our podcast accessible, and our special guest today. See you next time.